My son's grades were so bad he was called to his parents. And the homeroom teacher was my ex-boyfriend. Looks like he inherited his grades from you. Don't mention it. It's half your fault. After accidentally revealing his heart, he looked at me differently. I'm numb. Do you believe me when I say my mouth is numb? I never thought that one day I would be called to school because my son's test was so bad. What's more, I never expected that I would arrive at school majestically, ready to teach the brat a lesson. I was greeted by a group of parents who were also underachiever. And exes who were too handsome to take care of themselves. Did Ethan Song's parents come? If they're here, come over and pick up the papers for his diagnostic test. And a report card for the whole class. The man who spoke didn't look up. But the voice was familiar to me. It was exactly the same as when he whispered in my ear. Something bad was going on in my mind. I eased my footsteps and walked over to sneak a peek. And then I wimped out. With that forehead and eyebrows alone, I was sure who this person was. Jason Jeong. My ex-boyfriend who I broke up with for 7 years. I just didn't expect to meet again. But in this situation. Moreover, I have a son who is dragging my feet. The only blessing is that this son looks like me. I didn't dare to respond. Lowered the brim of my hat and walked over. And after receiving a few sheets of paper handed out by those white and strong hands, I hid behind the other parents. Looking down for just one glance. I almost want to drill under the table. The waves of the Yangtze River push the waves of the front. First grade. 67 points. How did this troublemaker test out? I could have scored 70 in that year. Jason Jeong finished handing out the papers and briefly explained the situation. All the parents invited here are those who are in the bottom 10 of the exam. Diagnostic tests don't mean anything. And it's only elementary school. But I hope that parents will pay attention to their children's fundamentals. After all, it's a small thing to fail the test, but a big thing to have your child's self-confidence undermined all the time. Jason Jeong behind the words I did not listen to. Full of only 4 words. The bottom dozens of. I couldn't help but feel my heart shaking as I picked up the report card and silently counted my son's rankings. Well, it's good. 3rd from the bottom. Ethan Song looking for death. Jason Jeong's cool voice spoke slowly and methodically about the different children's problems. I sneakily looked up to survey him and didn't hold back a curse. Absolutely. Age is a killing knife that also picks people to kill. He said. Jason Jeong's face is the same. Handsome eyebrows. 3-dimensional features. And even the skin condition has not changed at all. The only thing that has changed is his temperament. In the past, he was cold and indifferent, rejecting people. Now, there is more of an approachable look. Think about that year. Every time he stood on the podium, to the whole school teachers and students' speech. I will be excited to introduce with the students. Look. My boyfriend is really handsome. Who would have thought that a few years after the breakup, he would come to my son's podium to shine? Jason Jeong seems to be really afraid of hitting his children's self-confidence. And also wants to give parents some comfort. Also to a group of poor students. Specializing in some hygiene star. Hardworking star. My troublemaker was honored to be on the list. Out of 5. He was happy with 3 spots. I have hardened my fists. Just then. Which one is Ethan Song's parent? My body stiffened. Not daring to say anything. Jason Jeong repeated the question. The parents looked around left and right. Who is it? Why is the teacher ignoring me? I stood out stiffly. Deliberately clamping my throat. I'm here. Jason Jeong paused. His eyes slowly sweeping over. Ethan Song's parent? I gritted my teeth. Yeah. The corners of his lips, which themselves were slightly curled and appeared approachable, flattened out directly. The coldness I was familiar with radiated from his body. I didn't dare to speak or look up at him. Only after a long time did he speak again. Ethan Song's grades aren't too good. But he's still very good at life. Can you share your usual method of education? I stiffly pulled out a smile. Jason Jeong must have recognized me. This questioning is definitely a personal vendetta. Just dumping him. And he's screwing me over like this. If he finds out that Ethan Song is his seed, the consequences would be horrible. No. Can't think about it and don't dare to think about it. As for his problem, let him do whatever he can. Children can be much smarter than parents think. The last few words I almost squeezed out from between my teeth. Jason Jeong's voice was still cold. Well, he is much smarter. Me. I suspected that he was connoting me. But I had no proof. Jason Jeong picked up the report card again. His thin lips slightly opened. And reported my son's grades in all subjects. When I heard the score of 89 in English, my eyes lit up. Not bad. English even passed. I have not passed. Jason Jeong. Looks like Ethan Song inherited his score from you. From me? Third from the bottom? I at least have a bottom 5. Right? For a moment, my inner rebel was awakened. In a flash, I blurted out. You're welcome. Half of the credit goes to you. The noisy office was instantly as quiet as a chicken. A dozen pairs of eyes looked at me in unison. With a horrified look of what are you talking about? I also reacted to what I said. Geez. I blew myself up before anyone could guess anything? This kind of tawdry operation. It seems that my son's IQ is really inherited from me. I want to cry without tears. No. Teacher. Listen to my explanation. I mean education. Genetics is as important as education. This explanation is very pale. I don't know whether he believed it or not. He only looked at me one more time and went on about the other parents' kids. Soon the grooming was done and the other parents left. I hid myself in the pile. Trying to bolt along. Just took a step forward. Didn't move. Another step. Still in place? I turned back timidly. And sure enough, Jason Jeong had 2 fingers lightly hooked on my backpack. Want to run? To be honest, at the beginning I hated to stick to him. If he said that, I must be happy to go to KFC V50. But now I can't avoid it. I snappily explained. No. Did not run. On the normal dissolution. Just words I said wrong. You do not misunderstand. The words are so said. But my 2 legs do not obey the command to stop. Good. Don't misunderstand. Then you explain to me. We broke up 7 years ago and you have a 6-year-old child. What's going on? And 7 years ago. You hadn't graduated yet. Jason Jeong asked me in an exploratory tone. As if he was discussing someone else's topic. But I understood what he was trying to say. Jason Jeong and I were together junior year. And we broke up senior year when I backpacked for an out-of-town internship. If you go by the point in time, it's safe to say I had a seamless transition. Luckily, at the critical moment, a familiar voice whispered at the door. Mom. You're here. Missed you so much, Mom. Am hungry. Worthy of being my MY boy. I can escape my misery at the critical moment. Just for that. My son's balls are saved tonight. I raise a smile that is awkward but not rude. Little kids can't be hungry. I'll take him home for dinner first. Don't see me off. Teacher. Goodbye. After saying that, I turned around and picked up my son and ran. Not even daring to look back. Finally, I reached the school gate in one breath. And I was completely relieved. At that moment, my boy in my arms suddenly spoke up. Mom. What's wrong? Is Mr. Jeong looking for us? He's going to follow us. Me. I sneakily turned back. Sure enough, Jason Jeong was not slowing down. But his height of nearly 190 gave him a great advantage. His walking is not much slower than my running. Seeing that the distance from me is only less than 20 meters. I was so scared that I put my boy on my shoulder and rushed into the car. Start. Turn the steering wheel. Gas pedal. In just 3 seconds. All that was left of Jason Jeong was exhaust fumes. Long after I got home, my beating heart finally calmed down. I don't blame me for being a wimp. But Jason Jeong is too serious. I still remember when I was in love. Once I shouted Gaming Pro to my own player when I was playing King of Kings. The result was he caught the handle. Gaming Pro? Called so smooth. Seems to be a lot of wild brother. Then, I covered my slightly swollen mouth and called him brother 10 times with a red face before he reluctantly let me go. Having just calmed down, my boy refused to let me go. He blinked his eyes and chased after me. Mom, why are you afraid of Mr. Jiang? Who? Who is afraid of him? To prevent my boy from continuing to ask, I hurriedly diverted his attention. Why don't you explain to Mom why you scored 67 points? Who taught you? Mr. Ethan Song? My boy was sure. Mom taught me. Me. Or Mom inherited it. Me. I was expressionless. This is also half of your teacher Jiang's credit. My boy sighed like a small adult. Mom. Not shirking responsibility is the basic principle of being a human being. You taught me that. Me. Very good. My son didn't inherit Jason Jiang's IQ. But he learned my ability to pinpoint me. It was hard to put my boy to bed. I called my best friend in tears. Isn't it just calling the parents? As to be so mournful? My best friend seemed to be eating something in her mouth and her speech was a bit unclear. My tone was numb. I saw Jason Jiang. Pfft. A sound rang out on the other end of the phone, followed by my best friend's frantic coughing. Jason Jiang. The former campus heartthrob of our school. Where did you meet him? Where did you meet him? I smiled coldly. Rekindled? He is now my son's homeroom teacher. Girlfriend. What the hell? Isn't he being schooled all the way to academic exemption for this master's degree? How did this kind of talent become an elementary school teacher? Did he recognize you? Did he recognize your son? I was speechless. I'm sure he recognized me. But my son looks just like me. How could he recognize him? I thought for a moment and continued to add. And besides his face, my son's underachiever nature is also a perfect example. There is really not a single point that resembles him. Finally, I said in a tone of despair. I'm afraid I'll have to be asked to be a parent countless times. After listening to what I said, the originally worried girlfriend directly laughed out loud. Who made you give birth to this child in the first place? You deserve it. Stupid kids have to meet their homeroom teacher. No. Their homeroom teacher's dad. I hung up the phone with a blank face. If it wasn't for her, why did I go after Jason Jiang? The next day my boy after school. Eating dinner. I do not feel comfortable to ask. Pup. Your teacher. Asked you anything today? Have a loan to find you talk? My boy looked at me blindfolded. Tilted his head to think for a long time. Before softly saying. I didn't ask anything. Just let us fill out the student information form. Homeroom teacher. Just started school to collect student information. It's normal. Then, when you're free, help Mom secretly ask the other teachers why Mr. Jiang is your homeroom teacher. He doesn't look like an elementary school teacher. He doesn't look much like a primary school teacher. He's obviously someone who can be a future scientific research talent. But he's simply not talented enough to come here. I thought my boy would nod his head in agreement. But he suddenly raised his hand proudly. Mom. I can do this question. Mr. Jiang is here in Northville on business. Looking for a temporary job. He's leaving when he's done. He's leaving? I was relieved. I'm relieved. It's okay. It's okay. The hard times will be over soon. But Jason Jiang teaches. I thought of the days when I took advanced math with Jason Jiang in order to be with him every day. Math is my weak point. And advanced math is as difficult as a book. And Jason Jiang wanted me to learn it thoroughly. He could explain a paper to me 3 times. Finally, at the end of the semester, underachiever me actually got a good score of 95 points. God knows. I have not gotten such a high score in math since I was a child. Except for the time when I hit the jackpot in college entrance exams. But I escaped Jason Jiang's devilish teaching. But my boy fell in. The more I thought about it, the more miserable I became. I silently gave my boy a chicken leg. Pup. Study hard. On the weekend, the classic scene of chaotic scene was repeated at home. Reason. Homework. I look at him procrastinate and get angry. Ethan Song. If you keep this up, I'm going to give you Mr. Jiang's number so he can come and teach you himself. Fighting was out of the question. But scaring was okay. It was obvious that my boy really ate this up. His tiny body just shook. And after showing a mask of pain on his face that I haven't seen in years, he started to bury his head in his homework. Being as well behaved as he could be. I was speechless and then went to the dresser to put a mask on myself. Just then, the doorbell rang. Boy, open the door. My boy thumped to the door. And 3 seconds later, I heard him yelling at the door. Mom. You're lying. I've done my homework properly. What's with that? I walked out of the bedroom in bewilderment. What's there to lie about? Hurry up and do your homework properly. I froze when I saw the person coming. The 2 words home visit. My boy and I shivered in fear at the same time. Jason Jiang lightly swept me a glance. Is it convenient? I touched the shit green mask I just put on. No. But Jason Jiang had no intention of leaving. I could feel the tips of my ears getting hot under his light gaze. It's good that I still can't change the problem that my ears turn red when I lie to Jason Jiang after so many years. Failing to stop him, he lifted his foot and walked in. I closed the door in frustration and turned around to see him crouch down and touch my boy's head. What are you doing at home? Mom tutored me in my homework. Jason Jiang's hand visibly lurched and he looked up at me. You tutor him? The tone was slow. But I felt his smirk. I glared at him indignantly. I couldn't understand advanced math. How could I not know first grade math? You two are the only ones in the house? Jason Jiang's eyes glanced around the living room. And of course I knew what he was trying to ask. However, without waiting for me to speak, my fast-talking son nodded his head with a doggy face. Yeah. It's just me and Mom. Jason Jiang nodded. And with that, he let my son take out his homework. Teacher will check it for you. I watched in awe from the side. When my son went into the room, I finally couldn't hold back my grimace. Mr. Jiang is really responsible. Doing a home visit at night. It's my duty. You're welcome. Me. What duty? It's obvious that Sima Zhao's heart is well known to everyone. Okay. Once again, I felt repentant for my quick tongue. At the same time, I was secretly weighing how I could muddle through later. Cub's homework was checked for several mistakes. This question was sloppy. Pay attention next time. Hearing these familiar words, I subconsciously looked up at him. The man smiled wistfully, his fingers tapping on the test paper one by one. As if what was on the table wasn't a test paper, but a precious scroll. My heart seemed to beat at a faster rate. This man, after how many years, could still easily make my heart flutter. I shook my head and was just about to break the mood. Instead, my boy was the first to speak. Mom. This question just now I got it right. You pit me. The cute and handsome little face was all aggravated. Seems to be. My face instantly red. Toes hate to gouge out a Li Jiechi live. Jason Jiang, however, suddenly hooked up a smile and looked at the pups. Get used to it. With the antithesis of what I just saw, I watched Jason Jiang continue to look at the paper. Unconsciously a pang of nervousness came over me. It was as if this moment was back to that summer in full bloom. Jason Jiang was helping me check my advanced math homework in the empty classroom. His brows were relaxed and furrowed on his good-looking face. And the incessant cicadas chirping outside the window and the dry heat of the summer seemed to be of no importance at all. Back then, I had only one idea. I could always enjoy Jason Jiang's handsome face, which was sought after by countless people, and just do the questions. Who was afraid of who? But every time, he was particularly damning. What are you looking at? See how many mistakes you made? I used my hand to block the red crosses on the paper. What else can I look at? Look at Jason Jiang. At that time, Jason Jiang, although the corners of his mouth were tense, the smile in the bottom of his eyes could not be deceived. Memorize the formula. The cool voice came into my ears. And I was so familiar with the advanced math formulas that I could hardly get them out of my mouth. After I finished speaking, Jason Jiang and I were both stunned. Then the corner of his mouth lifted up in an imperceptible arc. Mom, what are you talking about? Do I have to memorize it too? My boy looked confused. Jason Jiang put down the roll and praised in a cool voice. Good memorization. Next time well spot check. I excused myself to wash the fruits and fled. In the kitchen, I couldn't wait to slap myself. Song Yuan. Song Yuan. It was obviously you who dumped him. Why is your heart racing now? Although I spat on myself. After washing the dishes and fruits, I passed by the study room and subconsciously drew out the advanced math book that I hadn't thrown away. After I reacted to what I had done. Me. Just like that. I walked out with the advanced math book clutched in my hand. Seeing Jason Jiang leaning on the living room couch. Looking at me with a light brow. Where's Ethan Song? He went back to his room to sleep. I let out an "oh" and felt his eyes on me. And couldn't help but feel a little nervous. I pushed the fruit towards him. Jason Jiang. The grudge back then. Jason Jiang calmly interrupted. Personal grudge. I want Rise to work. I'm here this time to collect family information. I pursed my lips. Okay. You ask. As far as I understand, Ethan Song is single-parent household. Right? I subconsciously gripped the couch cover. Sure enough. He knew. I tried to lie to him and say no. But I soon came to my senses. Paper can't hold fire. Not to mention the fact that in this house, there wasn't a single male item. Yes. Jason Jiang paused. When did it start? After hesitating for a moment, I didn't hold back from asking back. Mr. Jiang. I'm afraid this has nothing to do with studying. Right? The school also emphasizes on the mental health of the students. Jason Jiang's cool voice continued unhurriedly. Just answer truthfully. Just answer honestly. I bowed my head and brewed for a long time before spitting out a few words. It started at birth. This time. He was silent for a long time. The name of the child's father? This time it was my turn to be silent. The name of the child's biological father. Jason Jiang asked again. I suddenly laughed. Do you think this child is yours? There was a dead silence in the living room. Mr. Jiang asks so many questions. Aren't you afraid that your current girlfriend will be upset? I said this on purpose to force him away. However, he raised his eyes to look at me. His voice was 1 point colder than before. I've only had one relationship. I was stunned. But he stopped looking at me. Got up and left. Song Yuan. Be careful. Only when the door closed again did I collapse on the sofa in a trance. When we broke up, it was because I was angry. That day, I came to the menstrual cycle, wanting to find him to be pampered. But he simply said I know and nothing else. I always thought that I didn't care about his coldness. But at that moment, it was really hard for me. What was even harder was that later that night I was in someone else's friend circle and saw a picture of him. He was talking to a girl in a low voice. Leaning close. And he had a smile on his brow. That night I stubbornly mentioned breaking up. Straight backpacked. Changed my cell phone number. And went out of town on the pretext of an internship. Later found pregnant. I also tried to contact Jason Jiang's. But his cell phone could not be reached. I didn't dare to look for him anymore. I was afraid that he was with that girl. And I still have a baby in my belly. So I chose to become a single mom. But I didn't expect. They weren't together? After the home visit, I thought about looking for Jason Jiang again. But I don't know out of what state of mind. I didn't dare to make the call several times. But I didn't expect a week later. But I received his phone call. Jason Jiang's voice was a bit unsettled. Xiao Xian fell and got hurt. Unstoppable bleeding. He has been sent to City General Hospital. I'll pick you up. My head exploded. My head exploded. I didn't even know how I got downstairs. Jason Jiang picked me up. Fastened my seatbelt and comforted me. Don't worry. It's normal for kids to fall and touch each other. But I blanched. But hemophilia. Jason Jeong did not reply this time. But the car sped up a lot. When we arrived at the hospital, the nurse was shouting for blood plasma at the surgery door. But coincidentally, the hospital was running low on blood plasma. Who can give blood to a child? AB type. I clenched my fists and was about to speak. Jason Jeong stood up. MAB. The doctor sighed in relief. The doctor sighed in relief and was about to take Jason Jeong over. But I pulled the doctor back. Doctor. He can't donate blood. I'll find someone else. The doctor wrinkled his eyebrows. Jason Jeong did not understand. Jason Jeong was puzzled. But I had a hard time saying it. Immediate family can't donate blood. I still have this common sense. Jason Jeong doesn't know. There is no way I don't know. The doctor wanted to say more. But my best friend arrived. She is also AB. Gave me a reassuring look and dragged the doctor to donate blood. I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Jason Jeong spoke up next to me. Why don't you let me donate blood? My heart sank. The immediate family can't donate blood. Or when I was in college. He taught me. I raised my eyes to look at him. And sure enough, he already had his suspicions. I held my composure and tried to look at him. One word at a time. Because I don't want to owe you. Sure enough. His suspicions dissipated as soon as those words left his mouth. After all, that's how I've always been. And he knows it. He was silent for a moment before he reluctantly spoke. I'm sorry. I was negligent this time. I shook my head. Blame me. The teachers were clear about the situation in kindergarten. But I forgot to tell the school about the pup's health problems when I started elementary school. And this time, it was probably a child playing around and accidentally bumping and falling. But I can't help but blame myself. I should have reminded him again. In the middle of saying that, I couldn't hold back choking up. When I was pregnant with him, I didn't take care of myself, causing him to be born with this disease. I didn't know it before. But when he was 3, he was also injured and almost. I held my face in my lap and whimpered. Those past days I didn't even want to think about. Pup was so smart when he was a kid. He was quick to learn everything. But since the accident, I've had a change of heart. I don't care if he's a good student or not. I just want him to grow up healthy. The doctor said that as long as you are careful not to get hurt, you will be fine. But now, there was suddenly a pair of big hands on top of my head, gently patting me a few times. I looked up in a daze. Jason Jeong. I'll stay with you. In this instant, I couldn't help but hug him and cry out. Probably because of the sense of security. My snot and tears also flowed down without fear. By the time I had cried enough, Jason Jeong's shirt was already mushy. No. Sorry. I was a bit embarrassed. But Jason Jeong naturally wiped my face with a tissue. It's okay. It's not the first time. Half an hour later, the doctors came out with the cub. Doctor. Is my son okay? The doctor also looked relieved when he took off his mask. The extent of his injuries this time is rather large. But it's good that the blood transfusion was in time. He said. He's not in danger for now. But he'll have to stay in the hospital for a few days for observation. In the hospital room, I looked at his bandaged wounds and couldn't help feeling distressed. Jason Jeong stayed with me. Jason Jeong stayed with me. Go home early. I'll take care of you here. Jason Jeong sighed for no reason. And didn't even move his butt on the bench. I advised him. It's okay. My best friend is here too. She is my son's godmother. And she takes care of him more seriously than I do. Maybe these words convinced Jason Jeong. He nodded his head and walked out with his long legs. I breathed a sigh of relief. At that moment, my best friend came in pressing the pinhole in her arm. Why are you letting Jason Jeong go at this hour? In the past, he didn't do his duty even if it's true. Now it's obvious all. I covered my girlfriend's mouth. Be careful to wake up your godson later. My girlfriend glared at me in a bad mood. And only then did she angrily stop. After nothing happened in the hospital, I sighed lightly and prepared to go buy some daily necessities. However, I didn't expect to see Jason Jeong carrying 2 paper bags just outside the entrance of the hospital room. I froze. He is not gone. My best friend was even more surprised. You two made up? Sister. You still lie to me that. At that moment, my eyelids were frantically singing disturbed. I was afraid that my best friend would say something like tiger and wolf. Jason Jeong. Well, I bought some toiletries and food. BFF nodded in appreciation. And me? What are you saying? I wanted to stay and take care of my son. But BFF physically showed that she could. Desperately. She pushed me out and asked me to walk Jason Jeong downstairs. We were the only 2 people in the small elevator. And I was a little uncomfortable standing behind Jason Jeong. I could only stare blearily at the numbers jumping on the elevator. But Jason Jeong turned around and caught me. He pursed his lips. His expression slightly cold. So unwilling to stay with me? No, no. I shook my head repeatedly. He had just helped so much. It would be ungrateful of me to say yes again. He nodded and handed over his cell phone. Add me. I was baffled. As his homeroom teacher, I need to keep tabs on him. Jason Jeong's spine was straight and he didn't even look at me. He didn't even look at me. It was as if he wasn't the same person who had just comforted me with a warm voice at the door of the resuscitation room. When I returned to the hospital room, my best friend immediately approached me with a gossipy face. The first thing I'd like to do is to ask my friends if they have any questions about the program. Is it a reconciliation? It's not enough to hide it from me. I pulled the corner of my lips. I can't tell what I felt in my heart. No. He did his duty. Because he is our son's homeroom teacher. Is that so? My best friend pointed to the table with her chin. Simply a homeroom teacher. Remember when someone's favorite meat and crab casserole in college was bought at the store in front of the school? And this towel and mug of water. TSK TSK TSK. I froze looking at the things on the table. The meat and crab casserole is the one in front of the university school. I often pestered Jason Jeong to go with me at that time. I looked at the cartoon dog on the towel cup. I suddenly wanted to cry a little. Jason Jeong. When we move out after graduation, let's buy cartoon dogs for everything. Okay? I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do that. Jason Jeong faintly disliked. Pushed the cartoon dog couple cup I was interested in a little farther away. Che. I gave him a blank look and bet on buying only one of the couple mugs. When I finally paid, there were 2 mugs on the cash register. I'll pay for both. How happy I laughed then. How bitter I feel now. It's hard to find a man like Jason Jeong. Besides, didn't he only talk about you? This proves that the girls at that time didn't succeed. Besides, if you don't look at the monk's face, there's still a cub. My girlfriend pointed to her son who was lying down. This is your trump card. After hearing that, I was even more crazy. After all, Jason Jeong's heart. This child is my life with other people. I can't go to him with my DNA. Right? After all, my best friend had donated blood. So I drove her back later. While my son was sleeping soundly, I sat on the bench downstairs and stared at the moon. Jason Jeong and son. This pair of father and son. Really easy to pull my thoughts off. Especially Jason Jeong. What should I do? Thinking about it, someone walked up to me. I was startled and turned my head to meet those eyes of Jason Jeong. Why are you here? Just got here. Jason Jeong pulled me up without expression. It's cold outside. Go to my car. No need. I tried to withdraw my hand. But Jason Jeong gave me a warning look. If you get sick again, no one will take care of you. I skimmed my lips and didn't respond. Letting Jason Jeong pull me to the parking lot, where he shoved me into the passenger side. The car was silent. The faint smell of soap on his body suddenly calmed me down. It's late. Why did you come over? Stopping by. I nodded my head and didn't say anything. It took a long time before he spoke again. Ishwan is still up there. I'll go up first. But I didn't expect that just as the car door opened, I was violently pulled back by Jason Jeong's wrist. You. Jason Jeong probed over and closed the car door. Only when he passed me did he see that his eyebrows were no longer cold. There was still a faint odor of alcohol on him. I wrinkled my eyebrows. You drove here after drinking? I drank after I came over. Without waiting for me to continue asking, he spoke first. Song Yuan. There's nothing you want to tell me? Jason Jiang probed over most of his body in front of me. So close that he was almost nose to nose. I giggled in my heart and moved my wrist that he was pulling tightly. Song Yuan. Jason Jiang's lips tightened. His narrow eyes flushed slightly. I dodged and inclined my head, and was turned back again as he cupped my chin. Are you that shunned of me? Jason Jiang's voice was pressed, and it wasn't hard to hear the anger in it. Without waiting for me to explain, Jason Jiang's thin lips suddenly covered me. I was so confused that I forgot to struggle for a while. Only after a long time did Jason Jiang move his lips away with red eyes. Why did you break up with me back then? Because of that menstrual cycle? Or the fight a few days earlier? Jason Jiang's dark eyes suddenly dimmed. Or don't have other reasons? I opened my mouth and didn't know how to start. And just when I was about to open my mouth, my cell phone rang. Mom. Why am I in the hospital? Where are you? I'm scared. I hurriedly said softly. Mom is downstairs. Come up right away. Good boy. Don't be afraid. After hanging up the phone, I said. He's waking up. I'm going up to have a look. You go back first. I thought for a moment and added. Remember to call a chauffeur. I just got off the car and didn't take 2 steps. But there was a slamming sound behind me. I turned around and saw Jason Jiang striding towards me. I'll go with you. Jason Jiang and I entered the hospital room together. The cub was a little nervous. Mom. Mr. Jiang. The cub's face was still a bit pale. I painfully stepped forward quickly and touched his forehead. It was still a bit hot. Teacher Jiang is not worried about you and has been guarding you. 2 dimples squeezed out of Ethan Song's pale little face. Thank you, Mr. Jiang. I glanced at Jason Jiang, who turned around and went to find the doctor. Soon after, the doctor confirmed that the baby was not in any serious condition, and that it would be fine to stay for another day for observation. I was relieved. After the doctor left, the baby fell asleep again. Jason Jiang and I began to stare at each other, looking at the only remaining empty hospital bed. I hesitated for a long time before speaking. Why don't you go back? I don't think there's much to do tonight, so I can come back tomorrow. Jason Jiang sat on the chair, casually flipping through the magazine in his hand. You sleep your way. Don't mind me. Can. I was just about to object, when I subconsciously remembered what he had just said. Are you that reluctant to stay with me? I swallowed the latter words and climbed into the companion bed. The comforter was warm, but I tossed and turned and couldn't sleep. When I peeked at my cell phone, it was already 2 o'clock in the middle of the night. Jason Jiang was still guarding Ethan Song's hospital bedside. And in the night, he could only roughly make out a figure. I sighed silently. After hesitating for half a day, I still quietly called out to Jason Jiang. Jason Jiang. Why don't we squeeze in? The night is too cold. Jason Jiang did not say anything, only turned back to look at me fixedly for a while. I was looked at a little uncomfortable. Just wanted to repent. I said wrong. You as I have not said. The words were not finished. The figure stood up. His slender jade-like hands rhythmically unbuttoned his jacket. The moment he lay beside me, I felt my heart beating loudly. I carefully moved to the edge of the bed, trying to get a little farther away. But as I moved, my body became empty. And as I grabbed the covers and saw that I was about to fall, a pair of big hands suddenly appeared on my waist. Jason Jiang blinked his eyes slightly tiredly and pulled me directly into his arms. Go to sleep. Don't move. The hands on my waist did not have the slightest intention of moving away, and I red-faced didn't dare to move a muscle. Within a few moments, the sound of even breathing came from the pillow. Through the moonlight, I looked at Jason Jiang's eyebrows and fell asleep without realizing it. The next morning I subconsciously wanted to stir my legs, but when I rolled over, I was pulled back by a pair of big hands. I was stunned and instantly woke up. As soon as I raised my eyes, I met Jason Jiang's eyes with a slight smile. Good morning. Jason Jiang looked straight at me and I pretended to rub my eyes, blocking my already red face. How did you sleep last night? Jason Jiang laughed out softly. It was okay. But someone wasn't very honest. I rubbed my face and subconsciously remembered that I would unconsciously crawl into his arms when I fell asleep. My mind went blank and I stumbled over my words. I am going to go wash up first. I washed my face with several handfuls of cool water. But the appalling temperature went up instead of down. And slowly the redness reached the roots of my ears. When I came out again, my girlfriends had already arrived. Jason Jiang nodded his head in greeting and then turned to me. I'm going back to school in the morning. I'll be back in the afternoon. Just as he left in front of me, BFF couldn't help herself. How is it? Did you have a good time last night? I lightly coughed and touched my nose. And said sheepishly, how else can it be in the hospital? Don't talk nonsense. The day Ethan Song was discharged from the hospital, Jason Jiang sent us home. On the way, my best friend suddenly had another problem. Song Yuan. Jason Jiang has taken care of our son for so many days. Shouldn't we treat him to a meal? Jason Jiang drove steadily without saying anything. I secretly glared at my girlfriends. And without waiting to say anything, Myra covered. Then troublemaker thing stomped its legs excitedly. Let's go eat Western food. Jason Jiang didn't say anything. But with a turn of the steering wheel, he drove in the opposite direction of home. Western food is Western food. And my girlfriend even ordered a bottle of red wine. The point is that she didn't drink it herself, but kept persuading me to drink. A meal down. Red wine basically into the stomach of Jason Jiang and me. When I was checking out, my feet were shaking. My girlfriend pulled the troublemaker and shook her head in disgust. Jason Jiang. Why don't you send her back? Jason Jiang. Why don't you take her home? Good fucker. You're staying at my place tonight. I was baffled. What? I don't deserve to stay at my best friend's place? When we got downstairs, Jason Jiang sent off the chauffeur. We were the only ones left in the car. The atmosphere gradually warmed up. I looked at his eyes and became more and more attracted to him. One didn't hold back. Period to speak. Do you want to go up and sit down for a while? Before the words fell, he directly opened the door and got off. Just entered the door of the house. I was pulled by a force. And when I reacted again, I was pressed against the wall by Jason Jiang. Jason Jiang lowered his head, the tip of his nose against mine, his fine breath laying on his face. My cheeks also heated up a little bit. I thought something would happen. But I didn't expect. Where's the promised explanation? I pursed my lips and met Jason Jiang's dark eyes. And it was like that stuffy feeling I had been holding in my chest suddenly went to my head as well. I don't know where the strength came from, but I struggled my hand out. Jason Jiang looked at me fixedly. I took a deep breath before I dared to tell what happened back then. At that time, I was in my menstrual cycle. And you were so cold to me. The next day you were still flirting with other women. So if I didn't break up with you, who would I break up with? Jason Jiang. You were the first one to apologize to me. I was so stubborn. But I couldn't help but feel a sourness in the tip of my nose. Jason Jiang, however, was baffled. Who am I having an affair with? When I saw him playing dumb, I was so angry that I found the photo of that year. I don't know what kind of mindset I had when I took this photo, but I put it in a cloud album. Soon, the misunderstanding was explained. It's really outrageous that his mom opened the door to outrageousness. Outrageousness to the home. It was Jason Jiang's first time in a relationship. Plus my menstrual cycle didn't have pain before. He didn't know I was uncomfortable. What should he do? Had to find a schoolmate to counseling. Maybe afraid of being too loud and embarrassed. The two came a little closer. but was photographed by the students of the photography team and sent to the circle of friends. In fact, that photo. There are a lot of people. Only I saw Jason Jiang in the corner at a glance. Then I thought more about it. I was a little embarrassed. Then why did you pull me out of the black? My calls to your phone are all empty. Jason Jiang even sighed. I didn't pull black you. It's just that I accidentally lost my cell phone when I tried to find you. Then later. I was afraid that I could not find you. Every day in the girls' dormitory downstairs guard. I didn't think you even graduated. And didn't come back. I was a little sad. But he laughed out softly. Song Yuan. I don't have a girlfriend right now. Let's. I sniffled and interrupted. Don't you want to ask? What happened to me in these 7 years? Jason Jiang's raised hand paused, returning to its normal color in only a split second's work. Are you afraid I'll abuse your son? I laughed. Abuse your own son. Do you want to? Jason Jiang was blinded. And a glint of light leapt up from under his eyes. He picked me up across his arms and headed for the bedroom. Let's change the place. You explain to me properly. After a few explanations, Jason Jiang was finally satisfied. But after he was satisfied, he was hesitant to say anything. Because he is happy to bring up a bad underachiever son Ethan Song. Jason Jiang's handsome face looked wrinkled. Do not know what to say. And finally fixed God looked at me. Gaze gentle as water. Son like you is also very good. I know it's good. My heart is happy. That's why we're half and half responsible. I was right about that. Jason Jiang completely lost his temper and dragged me to the mall to pick up a cart full of gifts and returned home. When I met my son before, it was from the perspective of a homeroom teacher. Now he is a new father. Jason Jiang carefully delivered the toy stuffed cars, Transformers, Legos, etc. to his son. Ethan Song panicked, seemingly questioning why it was a toy stuffed car and not a workbook. I was so upset that I explained in my son's ear, with red eyes, that Jason Jiang was his father. My son was baffled, his eyes wide open, while my best friend looked at our family with a look of relief and satisfaction. Finally, my son looked at Jason Jiang and asked carefully, Mr. Jiang, aren't you here on a temporary errand? Will you leave when you're done? I could hear that my son was insecure. Now, it was Jason Jiang's turn to redden his eyes, looking at me and then at his son, and finally burst out laughing. Daddy came to find Mommy. I didn't expect to find Mommy in Ghana you. Daddy will always stay by your and Mommy's side. And won't go away. I was dumbfounded. So am what Jason Jiang came here to do As soon as my son heard Jason Jiang say this, he immediately jumped into Jason Jiang's arms with excitement. Great. I have a dad. And homeroom teacher is my dad. I can be really awesome. Got to. Jason Jiang and I looked at each other and smiled. Everything was in the air. For the rest of our lives. We have a lot of time together.